Hello my brothers and sisters in nerdiness, welcome back to the Spider's Web, and in this video we're going to be painting this tower. We'll just have a quick look around it first of all. You'll see there's different areas, different types of finishes on the tower, and we're going to make this appropriately, shall we say, for want of a better phrase. We're going to do a little extra on this one, with it being quite a tall piece and there's different, different areas of it. So the stone we're going to be doing the same as we did normally, and this is a dark grey blue, which is the one that we use for the shadow detail. So anywhere where there's a recess, we'll put this, and we also put this over any of the large flat areas in just squiggly patterns, and that's to make sure that there's something a little extra in the model, something that you can't quite put your hand on, you know, you can't quite put your finger on. You can see there's something when you look at it, but you're not exactly sure what. And it just adds that little bit more interest, especially if you put something like a transparent paint over the top of it and you can see past the transparent paint into the different textures and different colours underneath. And that's why we go over these flat areas with this paint. We also add in this as highlights, not highlights, a shadow colour. What am I talking about? Highlights indeed. Good lord, man's an idiot. So yeah, we're going to add this to here now. Later on you'll see that I go over this with a different kind of colour, and you don't really see it, to be honest. It was a waste of time doing this part, but I did it anyway because I didn't know where I was going with it until I actually got round to making the decision on how to paint that top part later on. I'll add a bit more of the paint into the cup and we'll carry on, make this just a touch darker, and that's what we need to do. And in this one we've got not just got walls pieces, we've got rooms as well to paint, so I'm going to do them very basic later on and you'll see how I'm doing that. But as you can see, I'm just making squiggles. I'm not painting properly, I'm not bothered about lines, I'm not bothered about making, you know, keeping to set things full coverage. I am just making sure that the squiggles on it, and this has been primed with black and then zenithal highlight over the top with a grey. That's all I've done, nothing special. Now we're going over to light grey, and we're going to do near enough the same again with this as we did with the dark grey blue, but this time we're going to be emphasising the raised areas and the top of the building and making this the highlight colour for the stonework. And as per usual, we're going to add different colours into the stonework, just to make it look a little more interesting, because that's what you need to do with buildings like this. You paint it all one colour, it looks boring, it looks uninteresting, but if you add more colours it just adds that little more interest. And if you do like squiggly lines as well, it adds that interest in other ways. So yeah, you're just trying to do things here to make it look a little more interesting, because it's a big flat area that we're painting and it looks boring when it's all one colour. So there we are. So again, we're just picking out the highlights on this and focusing on the very raised areas of this piece, or this piece of the model, which is on the crenellations at the top. And they are weird crenellations for this building. They're usually like a, you know, your typical castle, but I don't recall ever seeing a castle which has the diagonal crenellations like this has. But it adds a little more interest. Now we're going to take some middle stone, and this is going to be one of the colours that we use to make the walls a little more interesting. And we're just picking out individual of these designs, or the brick designs, just to, as I say, make it a little more interesting, to show there's different stone gone into making up the building and not just the same grey stone. We do use two colours to do this, and the next one's coming up fairly shortly. Now this is a very long what's the word I'm looking for, a long process picking out individual things. And as you can see, I'm also going over some of these areas on this wall because I want to paint this something different and make it stand out a little, because it's not brick, it's not stone, it's a large flat area with little lines and little borders, so I'm going to paint that slightly different. And as you can see, I'm going over the top, the very top flat area, and again, here we go, we're just picking out individual stones, and this is a big area. So let's cut and move on to something I'm nearly finished painting using this colour. It just saves time. You've seen what I'm doing, so you don't really need to watch every little thing I do, because you've got the idea. So that's the middle stone over with. Now we're going to use red. Again, this is Modeler from Vallejo, and we're going to do exactly the same with this as we did with the middle stone. We're just going to pick out individual stones from the walls, and again, it's a long process. Let's go through to where I've nearly finished. You'll see how I've done it as we go on in the video. It's nothing special, there's no set thing for this. I'm just colouring where I think looks more interesting. It's a random thing, so don't be, if you want to copy this type of thing I'm doing, then just go with it, don't try and plan. Now let's get some Mod Podge and some sand out, and we'll get the base of the tower covered. And again, as you've seen time and time again, we'll just go over the flat horizontal part of the base with the Mod Podge and put the sand on that. And it's a quick process to do. Now if you have bigger pieces of sand, then fine, you can put that on. I've been sorting out, and I've put the other one that I used in the last video, which has a mixture of different grades of sand. I've put that somewhere and I don't know where it is, so this is the only one I could find. So this is the one that we're going to use at this point in time. And as I say, it's just a case of covering the base with Mod Podge, sprinkling the sand over, and allowing it to settle. Now, dark earth is what we're going to put over the sand, and with using the airbrush, we're not using a normal bristle brush, so it's easier to paint it as it's just been put on, I find. Now you do get every now and again a little bit of an effect where the airbrush actually blows the top surface of sand off and bubbles up the glue underneath. This happened on this one. You may be able to see it, I'm not quite sure. But when that happens, you can always disguise it later on with foliage or whatever, so don't worry about it if that happens. And as you can see, we're going over the bottom part of the wall as well to show where dust and dirt has been kicked up onto the wall. And now we've done that, we will go on to this one, olive drab. And as you can see, it seems to be a very quick thing, but I do rinse out the cup on the airbrush after each paint, but I just edit that part out because it does take some time. And with this, I'm just doing the walls, and again, it's a long boring process. It's just painting flat areas, large flat areas, so I didn't see much point in going through it all, so I just thought I'd cut it, show you basically the bits that I'm doing, so you can see what I'm doing rather than letting you endure the full boredom of painting fairly large flat areas. You can see what I've done, and now we'll just put a bit of this on the flat area on the top of the castle. Now the bleach bone from Army Painter. This is one of the airbrush paints that we got, and they actually sent me this free of charge to do review on it, and I do enjoy using these paints. They are ready to use straight out of the bottle, no thinners needed. You can add some if you like, but there's no need for it. And as you can see, I'm using this on the flat areas on this part. I want to make it, as I say, a little different. So I'm going to make it look as though this has been kind of plastered, for want of a better phrase, you know, like the wattle and daub kind of thing from Tudor buildings. This is what the kind of effect I'm going for, because we're going to do this in the bleach bone, which is quite an off-white. It's like a chewing gum white, for want of a better phrase, and no, creamy white rather than a chewing gum white. Chewing gum white's rather a greyish white, isn't it? This is more like a creamy white. Very nice colour, and as you can see, you can see just that little bit of the middle stone coming through, which adds that little bit of depth and interest to it. Got a little bit of a blockage there in the brush, but we'll clear that out slightly, as much as we can, and then we'll get on with painting. And I'm not being too fussy about this. This is supposed to be open to the elements and weather beaten. It's a tower, not a castle, like I said earlier. It's a tower, and I just want to you know, make it look as though it's being exposed to the elements, in which case it wouldn't be pristine, it would be battered, it would be chipped, dirty. You know, it's not going to be perfect, so I'm not making it perfect. I'm trying to make it look weathered. And no, yeah, it's just a case of getting over these parts as quick as possible, and giving us fairly okayish coverage as I possibly can, making it, you know, giving it that effect of being weather beaten rather than pristine. And it doesn't take all that long to do. I was thinking of masking over various parts of it, but I didn't bother with it. As you can see, I just got on with spraying, because where it went over to it, we can disguise it later on. And around these parts, we're going to be putting a different colour, a darker colour around the edges of it, so we didn't need to worry about it. But that's the Army Painter paint over with for the time being. And now we're bringing out the CD palette, and we're going to be using some mahogany, and this is going to be for what I'm going to be saying is wood, like wooden supports, wooden framing, that kind of thing. And the wooden framing is all around the windows. I'm going to show you this wall to show you exactly what I'm doing, and then we'll speed it up again a little bit and cut to where I've nearly finished doing what I'm doing. If I go over onto the white, all I'll do is just get a little bit of water, as you just saw though, a little bit of water on my brush, wipe it, go over where I've put the mahogany in the wrong place, and then just wipe it off. If it smudges and makes it look darker, then that gives it more effect to the white part of the wall. I'm saying the white part of the wall, it's not white, but you know what I mean. It just gives it that little more of an effect there, makes it look a little dirty, a little grimy, that's all. And it gives that interesting feeling of it being more than just fresh out of the fresh from the builders, as it were. It's been standing for a while, it's got a little bit of dirt, it's got a little bit of grime. That's what you need on things like this. You don't need it being pristine, you need it looking rough and ready, because let's face it, it's supposed to have been exposed to the elements. So that's what we're doing with these four walls. We'll come through now to where we're finished. All the doors and the framing, as you can see from the side there, I've done in this mahogany, and I'm doing this door at the bottom with it as well. So I thought I'd show you this, painting this door and the framing around the door, and then when I see any tabs that has been used to knock it off, like there, you can tell which are tabs and which are stone, which the stone etching. All I'm doing is just going over some of that. So as I say, it looks as though there's like wooden framing inside, or not framing, wooden supports for the walls. And that's a quick look at the entire wall piece there. And as you can see, I'm not worried about the side parts where it connects with other pieces. Now this is Dark Tone Wash from Army Painter. It's the big dipping pot. I don't use it to dip minis. I'm using this as a wash, and I'm going all over it. So yeah, again, we'll go through the end because all I'm doing is just slapping this on. I'm not being fussy with it. It's just going on, and where it leaves any marks and things, it's just more weathering for the for the effect of it. And as you possibly saw there, you could see where it was with that black dark colour that we put on earlier was showing through, giving that extra little bit of texture. So that's all that done, and now we wait for the wash to dry. It's dried. Now let's have a look around this piece, and you can see the, hopefully you can see where that dark blue grey and the light grey that we put on stands out. And now let's use some mummy robes. This is just normal Army Painter paint. It's the first edition, shall we say. It's not the Fanatics set. And we're just going to dry brush over all of this, and that's basically it. It's just touching up after this part. Now I've not managed to get photographs of this done yet. I'm going to have to set something up. It's too tall to take a photograph inside my airbrush booth like I usually do. So I'm going to have to set something up to try and take a photograph of it, and I'm going to have to get on with it because as I say, it's going back to Andy tonight, and I really need to get something sorted with it. So yes, when I've done that, when I've done this video and narrated this video, I'm going to be getting on with trying to get some photographs to put at the end of it so I can put it up so you can see it. Next we're going back to mahogany, and we're going to be touching up on the wooden areas where I've just covered with the dry brush. Don't need those to be dry brush, so it's just, as I say, touching up now for the most part. And we're going around all the little supports there around the top of the castle, of the tower wall. Now all the framing parts to be done. Yeah, so you can see that's how I'm wanting it to look, as though it's like wood framing with like a plaster on the inside of it. It probably doesn't fit in well with a historically accurate tower, but who cares? It's for a fantasy building. I don't think it's going to be used for historically accurate wargaming. And we'll skip through until we get right to the end of it, and I'll show you this part to finish off the mahogany side of it. It's just painting the door, painting the frames, and that's it. As you can see, I've not bothered painting that part on the side because that clips in to other areas, so you're not going to see that. And I do hope Andy does get a capping bit, an end part for the wall. Now going over to blue. Now, I've not used this before on one of these castle builds, and that's because we haven't had interior rooms on the other ones. And for this we're going to be using it on the floor. Don't know why, I just thought it might be an idea. Not being precious with it, I'm just spraying it. It's not fantastic coverage, it's not perfectly blue, it's patchy, it doesn't look immaculate. It looks as though people have been trampling through. And we'll do it on the top floor, sorry, not the top floor, the second floor room as well. Now I was trying to work out why on earth there was no doors to get into that room. Then I realised it's going to be above the part where the doors are, and it's going to probably have like a stairway going up to into this room. So an internal stairway, and then you'll probably get ladders on going up to the trap door that's on the roof above it. So yeah, that's how it's working. So if you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe, comment and leave a like. And you can always help the channel financially with by becoming a patron or buy me a coffee. Every little penny helps. Not obligatory, it's all going to be free, but using a bit of super glue now to just add a little bit more texture to the ground, because I didn't like the way it was looking, and it's disguised some bad parts of it. But that's about it. That's all we have done for this, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, then please, as I say, leave a comment, subscribe and like, and if you do subscribe, don't forget to ring my bell. But that's it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Until next time, as always, stay safe and take care. God bless, and bye for now.